Hi, my name is John Roney, and I decided to do Octavia Butler in the Parable of the Sower, chapters 13 to 20. Here we go. My first slide is on the life of Octavia Estelle Butler. She was born June 22nd in 1947 in Pasadena, California. She lived there with her mom. Her dad died when she was very young, and so her mom worked very hard to keep the family afloat, kind of. She worked as a housemaid around California. She studied at various universities, began her writing career in the 1970s. It fully launched then. She started writing from a very young age with typewriter at 10, but she completely launched her writing career in the 70s. From a young age, she knew she was dyslexic, but she did not let that stop her because she became a very successful writer, and even though she was dyslexic, she still had a very easy time writing great stories. In 1999, she moved to Seattle, Washington to further her career. She just found it easier to start working there, and so decided to move. And sadly, on February 24th, 2006, she died there of a stroke in her home in Seattle at the age of 58. Her life's work, to make ends meet, she would work various jobs on top of long hours of writing each day. She was known to get up very early in the morning, write for hours, go to work, come home, write for hours, and go to sleep. She didn't get much sleep. She was a very, very hard worker. And in 1979, she had a career breakthrough with Kindred, where the basis of it is a former slave goes back to save the white slave owner, which is a very interesting concept to me. She won the 1984 Best Short Story Hugo Award for Speech Sounds. Her last novel written was Fledgling in 2005. And she was very into sci-fi and dystopian writing, and that's what most of her works are about. In her life, she won various and multiple awards. She was very good at what she did, and each of her books won awards. In 1984 and 1985, she won Hugo Award. In 1985 and in 2000, she won Nebula Awards, and between those two dates, she was nominated for 5 or 6 more. She won the Bram Stoker Award in 2018 for her past works, even though she sadly was passed away. In 2010, she became a part of the Science Fiction Hall of Fame, which is a very distinguished honor for many writers, which is very cool that they put her in there when she had passed. And she, again, has been nominated for various other awards, but I just could not list them for the sake of time. And as a summary of the chapters that I read, in chapter 13, they come across the new homebrew drug. It's called pyro, which makes you kind of like stare into the fire and love fire. Kind of reminded me of a pyromaniac, which I'm sure it's about, but pyromaniacs just kind of love fire and will play with fire. So that brought me there. In chapter 14, Zara says she saw the painted people kill Lauren's family, which is kind of a weird twist that we saw. In chapter 16, Lauren hits the intruder with the head with a rock. She kind of shows her little violent side there. She just kind of acts on her feet and tries to stop the intrusion, but just hits him on the head with a rock. In chapter 17, we see more violence from Lauren, and we kind of see how her religion of Earthseed is developing. She shoots one of the dogs, which is kind of very violent, which is not really what you would see, and kind of goes right against Christianity, so I guess Earthseed is starting to make more sense to me. In chapter 18, Travis may be her first convert. We're kind of starting to see him lean towards it, and Zara her second. So we're kind of seeing her work towards converting people, and she's finally starting to be able to do so. In chapter 20, we see gunfire between 2 groups. She wakes in the middle of the night to find Blank Old gone, who she started sleeping next to that night, and she wakes up to see him gone. And they have 2 groups running around that are firing guns at each other. So it's very violent. Few chapters, either from Lauren or from the things around them, but we just kind of have to keep reading and see what's going on. And then here's my works cited. I had bibliography, facts about her, and then her awards.